So please welcome Gareth Timmins.
Tomorrow morning, we will we'll go on a mission. We will board helicopters and fly deep into the heart of Helmand province. Our mission is to capture a high-ranking Taliban commander whilst taking no casualties. We've just eaten, we are cleaning and preparing weapons, and we will hopefully get some sleep. The following day arrives, and we are on our way in at 04 in the morning. As we make our approach to the target area, we are filled with wild emotions, mixture of excitement, fear, and also trepidation. As we land at 05, we are met by direct and overwhelming enemy fire. What we thought was going to happen has suddenly changed, and what should have taken an hour has now taken 17 hours. And as a result, we've run out of ammunition 5 times. What we thought was going to happen hasn't, and I'm reminded that no plan ever survives the first contact. In training, the training team simulate a series of false endings. We, for example, could have been in the field for a number of days. We go to attack a farm to clear it of enemy, the enemy being injured Royal Marines recruits. And then we move to an helicopter extraction point. As we approach the helicopter extraction point, we realize that, to our dismay and grief, that the helicopter is never going to arrive. And we must now gather our kit, gather our sensors, and move to the next helicopter extraction point and/or back to a safe camp. Likewise, we could have been in the field for a number of days on exercise during training, and up to the first 15 weeks, the training team may have told us the following morning that we were due to leave the field. We get to an RV and wait for a bus. The bus arrives, and just as we put one foot on it, it drives off. And the sudden devastation in us all that we are due to stay in the field another day, another night. And to our horror, that's confirmed when the training team start issuing more rations. This process of false endings and challenging what we thought was going to happen, it produces, towards the mid to the end of training, 2 very different people. There are those that constantly cling on to the past, that try desperately to hang on to a reality that has already gone. And then there are those that accept instantly. For example, the training team may come in the early morning and ask us to throw everything that we own out the window. The first type of person hangs on to the reality that they should have been asleep. The second just gets up, accepts instantly, goes downstairs, gets the kit, and brings it back upstairs, washes and irons it quickly, and then they're treated to a long night, well, more of a better night in bed. Such simulations prepare an individual for life outside of military training and in elite military operations. And one of the things that I've often said to myself since leaving Royal Marines training and beyond is just accept it. That reminds me that I need to accept the adversity and accept the change and move out of detrimental mental processes. I say it's the story you tell yourself, because in times where change has come and change is not necessarily the change that you wanted, it's detrimental to performance, the story you tell yourself is so important, For example, if you tell yourself that this is unfortunate, if you go against the grain and you don't want this particular outcome to come to fruition, you are just creating unnecessary mental torture. If you tell yourself that you can't do it, that you can't get over the change, and if this is detrimental to any kind of progress and success that you're expecting, then that is what you will get. If you tell yourself that you can overcome this and you can go on to be successful and you back yourself and you learn to arrive at acceptance quickly, then you will ultimately be a lot more successful in challenging situations. And I've often said suffer now. Suffer now because it's so important. When change happens, we resist. As human beings, we're constantly resisting change all the time. But change is coming whether we like it or not. Change is either subtle or it can be catastrophic. And it's so important in these moments to say, just suffer now, just get on, just take the step forward, take the step into the unknown and suffer. And what you normally find is that you end up far ahead of those that resist the change in the first place. But of course, like in the first example, certain things in life have real life consequences and eventualities. In 2005, I was heading down the Red Sea with another 3 Royal Marine Commandos. I was the team leader on a job, and we were tasked to protect a 300-metre bulk carrier that was travelling down the Red Sea. It was filled with iron ore, and as a result, it had a 5-metre freeboard. We were taking it from Malta, through Suez Canal, down the Red Sea, through and past the Horn of Africa, and up into the Gulf to Muscat. As we were going down the Red Sea, my previous experience and experience in the Royal Marines showed me that something was wrong. I had a gut instinct that we could potentially get attacked down in Somalia. As we approached the Bab el-Mandeb, a short crossing between Yemen and Eritrea, all my fears came true. I was sat having lunch with a captain, and at 1800 I had a call on the radio, and it said, "Gareth, you better come up here quick." And I knew exactly what was happening. I ran up 15 flights of stairs. I got to the bridge. My legs were full of lactic acid, and as a result felt like lead. I started hyperventilating, and as I was trying to come desperately to terms with the situation, I was almost also hanging on to what should have been. I should have been finishing off my dinner with a captain, and I should have been going to watch a film and then going to bed. But life had a different answer. As I looked through the binoculars that had been put to my eyes by one of my team members, I could see 2 skiffs coming in at high speed. The people on the boat, the pirate action group, were holding AK-47s in the air and rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs. As I was putting on my body armor, I could feel myself hyperventilating. And I thought, if I lose my composure now, I will lose the team. I will lose the crew, the captain. And at that point, due to standard operating procedures, the captain and the crew then answered to me. So I felt this massive weight of responsibility on my shoulders as a 25-year-old team leader. Just as I got prepared and we took up our defensive posture, another one of the team members said, "Gareth, there are more." And I can just remember thinking, what do you mean there's more? It's already so unfair. What do you mean there's more? And as I looked to the starboard side, I could see another 8 or 10 skiffs coming in at high speed. And at that point, I thought, we're almost certainly going to get killed. Bizarrely, what flashed through my mind at the time was that my friends were due to go to Ibiza the following week. And I can remember thinking, I can't believe that they're going to go to Ibiza and I'm about to get killed. As the two initial skiffs came in, there was a young lad at the front that was laid on his side like you're on a deck chair. And I can remember looking at him and thinking, if you're that relaxed, we are completely done. I started hyperventilating and I thought, at any minute now, I'm going to have a panic attack. And I was trying desperately to hold on to a past reality, where I should have been, what should have happened. And I had what's in psychology called deferred responsibility. I tried to defer responsibility onto somebody else. The problem was, there was only me. I was the leader in that particular scenario. I thought I need to call my mum. That was completely irrational, and all this is happening in seconds. And then I thought we maybe need to surrender to preserve some kind of percentage of life that we have left. And then to prevent myself from having a panic attack, I had 2 really large deep breaths. And that snapped me away from this awful middle ground of being in flight mode, and it immediately brought me into a position of fight. And as I took the 2 deep breaths and grounded myself in this reality, I got down on one knee and went to get my weapon ready. And as I got down on one knee, a droplet of sweat dropped off my nose. And as it dropped off my nose and hit the steel structure and came back up, I could see it reverberate up. And at that point, I knew that I was completely locked into my environment. So what did I learn? The 2 deep breaths saved me. They snapped the connection and pulled me straight out of the filing system with the chimp. The chimp was trying desperately to download a file, my cognitive hardwiring, and tell me how to move forward, how to be successful. The problem is the stress was so overwhelming, it had damaged my ability to perform executive function. The 2 deep breaths allowed me to move from flight into fight, and at that moment, I was bringing up all the available information from a top-down perspective, from a bottom-up perspective. I stayed calm under pressure. On the external, I probably looked like I stayed calm, but inside, I was falling apart. And I made the right decision. We had about 1 minute, but in all these kind of situations, when time pressure is added, we always feel like we don't have any time. And you have got time. We've always got time. So I had to create time within a minute to make the right decision, and thankfully I did. And previous life experiences have prepared me for success. My reaction, I panicked. I went into denial. I tried to bargain with the situation. I need to call my mum. And then finally arrived at acceptance. The bridge to acceptance is this. In any kind of negative situation, we look to deny, we arrive at anger, bargaining, and then eventually we arrive at acceptance. And I'm saying today that with training and the right application and exposure to difficult things in life, you can learn to accept quickly and get over change instantly. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression put the mind in a past reality where you're ineffective, you are distracted. The transfer of performance happens when you arrive at acceptance and you come from being in a past reality into the present, and that's where you become extremely effective. And there's no more visceral example in life than watching 2 opposing teams compete that are separated by a mediator. The mediator is called a referee, and when the referee penalises a call against a team or awards a penalty or penalises for bad behaviour, you often see, like in this example, the team running in. The team run in and they try desperately to hang on to a reality that has already been and gone. And in doing so, they are distracted. They are distracted. And when we've ever observed sport and seen this kind of thing, have you arrived at the following conclusion, that the referee may change his mind? I'll let you into a secret. It never happens. And yet this superpower is not, it's not afforded to those that waddle and reside in comfort, in emotional comfort, nor does it endure. This superpower is for those that accept hardship into their lives, that are constantly stepping outside of the comfort zone, that are willing to come face to face with the chimp and grab hold of the emotional alarm bells and learn how to manipulate them, and in doing so, learn how to manipulate their own emotions. And if you learn how to manipulate your own emotions, you can arrive at a place where you can self-regulate. And self-regulating under change is exactly where you need to be if you want to be ferociously successful in life. And as I forget my lines and ability to connect to the end of this TED Talk, and I start to walk round in cognitive circles, I'm reminded that no plan survives the first contact. I must take the breaths. I must step forward into the unknown, back myself, and just accept it. Thank you.